Hey, how you all going? It's Jai, that Aussie metal guy here with Crannk.com. And tonight I'm having a chat with Anthony and Dylan from Wake the Blind, relatively new Melbourne based band, new metalcore, I suppose you call it, metalcore. Kind of a little bit of hardcore vibes in there as well, guys. Did you just want to introduce yourself first?
I'm Dylan Stone. I'm the vocalist for Wake the Blind.
Yeah, and I'm Anthony George. I play guitar. I'm just a new member. So yeah, I'm just part of the new lineup. And yeah.
Killer. Who else have we got in here, Dylan? Because we've also got Brandon. He's on the guitar as well. Adam, drums. He's done a lot of the producing, I think, which we'll talk about as well as we get through this. And Adam on bass as well, isn't it? Adam Humphreys.
Yeah, that's exactly right, man. So Spackman created pretty much majority of the EP for us. I helped some stuff vocally, but yeah, it was primarily him on this one.
Yeah, cool. So how did the band originally form, dude?
So basically, Spackman created Wake the Blind with a couple of other guys back in 2018, and then they kind of left the band, so he was kind of stuck. Then Adam Humphreys kind of joined the band, and they were kind of making a more like traditional metalcore kind of style. And then a little bit after that, I joined the band. They were like, can you scream? I was like, I don't even know. I'll learn it. That's okay. And got that pretty much down pat. Started doing the whole metalcore, post-hardcore thing, which is what you hear in a couple of our songs, Now Nothing and Cauterise, which we released earlier. Yep. And then, yeah, we had, sadly, a couple of lineup changes on guitar-wise, just because they were committed to other bands, which was totally fine, or they had work. That was all cool. But luckily now we have Anthony, we have Brandon. They've contributed so much to this current EP in terms of style and creativity. So yeah, I think we have a good fit at the moment, and just love seeing Anthony's face. It's just nice.
So how did you get on board, Anthony?
So basically I was in another band before this that was more like indie pop, I guess. And Spackman was actually helping record that band. And me and Spacky have been friends for a while now. And he goes, don't tell anyone, but we need new guitarists. So I'm like, oh, I'd be keen. So basically what happened is it was just this whole transition of I really wanted to pursue the style because it's like my roots. And it just, the whole auditioning process, and I think the first ever time properly being involved was like tracking backing vocals or something. You know, it was just here and there, but I'm here now, so.
Yeah. When did you first start playing guitar, dude?
I think it was about like 12, 13. I'm 19 now. But I usually rock background. Then I started forming a band with good old Dylan here. It was just a teenage garage band. It was just fun. But then it was just like experimenting with styles. I started to get into the more metalcore, crabcore, whatever you like to call it, you know. And it's just been here and there. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's fun, all the little different genre metal names. I know there's so many at times. It's kind of a thing we have to do, especially on my behalf, chucking little genre things here and there, metalcore, hardcore, whatever, dude, new metalcore. It's pretty insane, Dylan. Can I ask you, man, when did you first start singing?
I think like literally 2018. 2018 is pretty much where I started to sing, because originally I was doing guitar stuff. I didn't really do much into the singing part of things until they were like, we need a singer. So I was like, okay. Yeah, I literally learned screaming within like a couple of months, just trying to like figure out how to use my diaphragm, etc. I mean, if you hear the previous stuff, I sound terrible, which is an understatement. But yeah, no, just kind of found it odd that I just went from one instrument to the other.
Yeah, well, I've talked to a lot of vocalists, man, and believe it or not, a lot of guys that are singing purely as vocalists, man, you probably know because the scene's quite small, are usually guitarists or bass players or whatever they play an instrument before. So, and a musician mentioned this to me. He's gone, man, sometimes people come in and they're just purely a vocalist and they think, you know, I'm the vocalist now and whatever. But when you come in with that music mindset, be it an instrument, and you have that first, you kind of approach everything a little bit differently, eh?
Yeah, no, definitely. I think having the knowledge of learning an instrument and like the privilege to learn an instrument kind of gives you that extra edge as to what you want to do creatively. And I think that really kind of shows how, I guess, developed you can kind of become when you're experimenting with different things, just going from one instrument to another, experimenting with different sounds. It just kind of gives you that good foundation, you know, and to make something unique, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, definitely, man. So I want to talk about the singles that come out. Most recently, I want to talk about the Patient one first, dude, because that was the most recent one that's come out. You've released that through Triple J Unearthed, and it's up on the YouTube track, man. I like the whole meaning behind it all, dude. Did you want to give us a little rundown of what that track's about for you, dude?
Yeah, so that particular track was mostly trying to focus on how your mental health doesn't necessarily determine where society puts you. So, for example, you know, if you have depression or anxiety, etc., alongside of the scale of mental illness, that, I guess, position where people place you is like dangerous, or, you know, can't be sociable. You know, we wanted to try and show that, like, okay, in the lyrics, like, obviously this is what the person's thinking, but at the same time, he doesn't want, like, they don't want you to feel as if you're like alienating them. They just want to be normal. They want to feel like you don't have this like constant pressure, which is what having that, like, obviously having David in there as well kind of helped position that, because then we could have like two conflicting sides. But yeah, it was just about the mental struggle, really, of people with mental illness. That's pretty much how it was.
Yeah, and sorry.
You go, Anthony. Please go.
It's a real topic. Like, there's a difference between talking about mental health and then there's mental health and how there's a stigma behind being afraid of that topic. Like, there are a lot of people out there who support the ideology of helping people with mental health, but once it comes into practice, it's so extreme, and it's no one's fault. Like, basically, what I'm trying to get at is it's a topic that needs to be talked about, and I reckon having it in a form of lyricism definitely just helps put that sort of discussion onto the table with the audience.
Exactly. It's an important conversation. It's one that's come up a few times for me, and I think the stigma is coming away from it. I've battled with this for many, many years. I've major depression, major anxiety, and PTSD stemming from trauma as a child and everything like that, dude. And it's important for people like ourselves and for musicians to bring out tracks like this so people can go, hey, man, this is okay. It's okay to feel like this, and it's okay to reach out. It's okay to not be okay, but you're not alone. Reach out and talk to someone, because we've all got these feelings inside, you know, from Dylan to yourself, Anthony, to everyone. I think it's very important that we have this conversation. I'm glad it was brought up, dude.
Yeah, no, we wanted to target that specific, I guess, what would be the statement to say for it? We kind of wanted to give off that statement as to say, you know, this is something we need to talk about. People people do talk about, but they don't take it seriously enough because they don't necessarily act on it. Like, they don't act on their words. We kind of want to put you in a position that, you know, shows you should be doing this even when you say you are, when you're not.
Yeah,
and it's normalizing how uncomfortable it is. Like, it's okay for it to be an uncomfortable topic and to actually talk out, like, you know.
Yeah, I think it's great to have the conversation instead of shooting some eggs and eating some sugar and drinking some grog. I think it's better to sit down and have a conversation with someone. When I see stuff like that, it always makes me think, man, just reach out, talk to someone, and especially with that track, you know, which I want to talk about David De La Hoz from Wither, dude. That was dope, man. How did he get on board?
I mean, I've been friends with David for 3 years now, I think, and yeah, like, we've always wanted to get each other on a track, but it was just a matter of picking the right style, picking the right song, because, like, before Wither, obviously he was in Belhaven, and they've gone to the more pop side of the route, obviously, with Forget Me, and that's obviously not exactly a kind of sound that someone like me would necessarily be on. So, and same with Wither, they have a particular sound that I possibly could be on, but, like, they're at the point now where they're a lot bigger than we are, so it's kind of conflicting interest. So when we created Patient, that was kind of like, you know, the calling, being like, I have to get David on this, like, he'll love this, and he instantly said yes. So yeah, it was just such a privilege just to work with him. It's awesome.
Yeah, it was a killer track, killer film clip. What was it like making the film clip for that, dude?
Very stressful.
Yeah.
Very stressful.
Yeah, I know. I've talked to a lot of musicians and they've all said the same thing. It's stressful making the film clip, but once you kind of get it out there in the ether and you see the finished product, you go, okay, and that was worth it, dude. That was fun.
Yeah, we had so many issues on that day. You know, from power failures to just like multiple because there was, like, different tours and stuff like that going around as well. So we had to kind of adjust ourselves to where they were moving, etc. So, like, there was just so many factors involved that were just kind of decreasing our time towards it. But yeah, ultimately, I mean, it looked fine. I'm happy with the result. So yeah.
Yeah. So Broken Casket's your debut EP, man. That's coming out, like, in just a few days, dude. June 12th, isn't it, man? Can I ask a little bit about how you've approached, probably I'll ask Anthony, man, maybe, how'd you approach the song composition, and I'll ask Dylan about the songwriting.
All right. So I joined the band while that sort of process was ending.
Happening. Okay.
However, I knew Spackman while he was doing so, because he was the one that basically wrote skeletons of, like, all these demos, and he was really proud of it. It was like an overnight thing where he realized he wanted to branch out to a new sound, and I think they all agreed on that. And it just happened. One thing I'll say though, like, it is branching into a new era and a new sound, I guess.
Yeah. It must be good too, kind of coming through and having this kind of a bit of freedom where you haven't got too many eyes on you yet, dude, and you can kind of experiment a little bit with your sound and kind of work out where you're more comfortable, man.
Definitely. Like, I wasn't really involved much into the writing bit, just because of, like, the timing.
Yeah, dude.
If I joined, like, way earlier, it would have been different.
Yep.
But I definitely did, you know, try to do my part in helping out Dylan with lyrics he was stuck on, or vocal melodies, like, you know, just things to sort of help ease the process a little.
Yeah, well, Dylan, you and Adam, you wrote pretty well. You wrote all the lyrics, didn't you?
Yeah. So I wrote all the lyrics to the songs, minus some that Spackman, like, absolutely had to have, which is fine. And then Anthony wrote some in Casket, which is one of the songs in the EP. He did one of the ending sections of that, and that was definitely a good decision on the band's part, getting him to do that. See, what else is there? Oh yeah, so in terms of like most of the melodies, etc., Spackman and I had this agreement where we kind of just sit together and, you know, we jam out on like a piano or like a guitar. I prefer a guitar because that's just easy for me to remember. And we literally just sit there for at least like 4 hours just jamming along to the song, being like, oh, these notes sound kind of cool. This would sound pretty cool here. And then just like progressively work through as like a brainstorm. Okay, what do we want to write about? You know, what statement do we want to have? If we want to have one at all, like, and it's a kind of a healthy process. And I'm glad now we have Anthony and Brandon on the case, because those two, writing wise, I mean, we can't say anything already because you know, obviously it's not out yet.
Yeah, exactly.
Won't be for a while. But yeah, their new stuff, they're helping creative stuff to change.
Yeah. Well,
especially, sorry.
You go, Anthony, please.
Yeah, especially with this new sound as well. I feel like me and Brandon, like personally, knowing him as well, we both have the same page on where this direction's going. Like we both come from a similar background. Like Brandon, I shouldn't speak on his behalf, but he's a very heavy black metal fan, and I come from like a lot of beat down hardcore sort of roots, and I guess that inspiration is really going to pull some strings into the new releases for down the track.
Yeah, going forward, it's exciting, man. You've got a really killer sound. It must have been kind of good just to kind of get in there and get these tracks down and kind of get a feel of, like, I know you released those other singles there, Now or Nothing and the Cauterise and that, but it must have been good kind of getting in there and getting your head around the recording and production process side of it as well. What was that like?
Yeah, that was definitely something that was such a relief to have. Like, we were so lucky to have such a great team. We had Zach Knight from Untitled Studios helping us out on the vocal production and drums. We had Steve Canatelli pretty much being our mentor for this entire EP, and we could not have done anything without him. Our sound would be nothing without him. And obviously Matty Nightmare pretty much just getting us everywhere we need to get ourselves to where we want to be, like to actually have a plan, because before the EP, we didn't have a plan at all. It was just like random stuff we just kind of wanted to make, and getting into the studio and kind of just smashing it out and understanding, oh crap, having a plan actually works, made such a difference. And it's such a good, I'm so glad for the responses from the two singles so far. It's such a weight lifted off my shoulders.
Yeah, well, the scene is so tight, especially in the Melbourne area, but the Australian metal scene in general is so tight, and everyone kind of lifts each other up and supports each other's bands, which is really, really, really great to see.
Yeah, it's definitely the best scene of people I've ever seen. Like, it's so healthy. I love the community here. It's nothing but love.
It really is, dude. And Broken Casket is due out June 12th, as I mentioned, dude, which is really, really cool, man. But where's the best place we can get along and support you guys? Pre-orders, merch before it drops?
Oh, geez. Yeah, I'd probably say everything is on waketheblind.com these days. I think we can get everything off that, which is kind of cool. And I think definitely check Spotify for the release of that, because I think we're going to do an exclusive on that.
Yeah.
Spotify is a big target, and like in terms of releasing music, I don't think many people really use many other platforms.
Yep.
Spotify has just been that go-to. Like, it's existed for a while, but as of last year onwards, it's just been everyone's go-to, which, you know, like, there's nothing wrong with sussing out a song there. So
Yeah, it's cool for everyone to get along. And, you know, I noticed you've got quite a few streams and everyone's getting to check you boys out. But I really do hope everyone remembers that if they like Wake the Blind, like the work you boys are bringing out, support it, man. Grab some merch, grab some CDs, because that's only going to help inspire you guys to get back in the studio and go, fuck, everyone's digging this. I really want to, let's get back in there, boys, and get hard at work. And, you know, it's great to get that like and follow. And I know it does help a little bit. And it gives everyone, you know, that chance to check you out, but it's also good for everyone to head over to your website and chuck some support towards you guys, because it's only going to keep you guys going.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I think especially after X2 being released, that just kicked our gears into drive, and we were just so ready to start working on new stuff. Just straight after the response, we were just like head first making new songs, because that was just, it was just so nice to see. We're just so like proud of the people around us and all the support we have.
Yeah, that's it. People don't realize, man, when you start getting that support and that feedback, that lights a fire in your belly as well. Okay, man, let's keep going, dude. This is going well. And studio time costs money, petrol money, gigs, dude. Gigs. What's the go there, man? Like, have you heard anything like starting up at all, or?
Ooh, I mean, like we've been thinking of making our own gig potentially, just for the sake of it. I mean, it's still on planning stage whether or not we want to do it like with bands, but you know, ultimately we do want to try and get as many gigs as possible this year, because last year we put ourselves on hiatus to make this EP, and yeah, like ultimately we'd love to be on tour by the end of the year. That'd be a dream come true. Yeah,
it would be, man. I'd love to be at a gig too. Hopefully by the end of the bloody year, man. I'm fanging for gigs, man. I tell you what, I'm gonna start. I'll be moshing through my room. I'm missing it that much, dude. So
hell yeah, dude.
So guys, I'm gonna sign out there, man. But I'll start with Anthony, man. If you want last words, shout outs or thank yous or anything, man, to add in there.
Honestly, I just want to thank the whole team that's helped us along. Thank you for having us. And yeah, adios.
It's been a pleasure. I'll hopefully catch you guys on the road. Dylan?
Yeah, thank you so much, dude. Words can't describe how much fun this is.
Yeah, this is an absolute blast, man. Hopefully when everything's out and you've got some, you know, on the road again, I can catch you in person and snap some shots, and, you know, we can go from there, have another chat,
definitely. Bro. Yeah, I mean, hey, you come to a gig, I'll buy you a drink.
That's it, man. I'll buy you one too, brother. Cheers, man. Thank you very much. Wake the Blind, Dylan, Anthony, man. I can't wait for this EP to drop. Broken Casket, man. It's going to be a killer EP. I'm hoping everyone goes out and actually grab some merch as well as Spotify follows, but merch. Cheers, boys.
Thanks, man.
Legends. Cheers, guys. Have an awesome night.